Pause, pause, pause. That's me. It feels so weird with like no music on in the background. I feel so sentient. Okay, so this video is about the depressing reality of being a small cat. Love cats. I myself am based off of a small cat too. Everybody ready? You guys want to learn about small kitty cats? Oh, the shirt says Don the Don. Oh, it is the cat from Don the Don.
Write this down. If you go outside, right? You go outside and you don't find a cat there. You have
The
not
palace
gone
cats are
outside.
so cute.
You've gone to
They look so grumpy.
or the poles, which is the same thing, just frozen over. From the desolate dunes of the Sahara to the wilds of Houston,
love
Texas,
cats.
cats have colonized virtually every aspect of this planet. There is no animal that's gotten more mileage out of humanity just by being itself, and you can tell, because where wolves would have treated us like the plague if they knew pugs were down the line, 99% of people can't tell
Oh
which
my
cat belongs
God.
in a pet store.
They're
Thanks
so
for
cute.
unpausing. It's none of them.
Yeah,
Believe it
that's
or
kind of
not,
weird.
That might just be what kills them. Because 99 is also the percent of wildcat funds that have gone to tigers, jaguars, and other big cats. Big cats
Oh,
are like the
no.
football flex of a D1 school. They'll never not have funds for new uniforms and infinite DoorDash. Meanwhile,
is
engineers
true.
sleep in bedbug-infested abandoned
Ew.
bomb shelters. The other cats are so cute it kills them. Because most of the public is impressed about the population of something that looks like you can find it in an animal shelter. One cat might already be in the genetic gulag because
wow.
of it. So this video
That
is about
looks
the
like a
small
stray
cats,
cat.
for their sake and yours, because no one ever said there were too many cat videos. Pure spite already made me talk about the difference, but the short version is, big cats are cats that can roar. Somehow snow leopards slid by.
I don't know. That sounds like a powerful roar.
Basically, a modified hyoid bone is what gives big cats the ability to evacuate your bowels. So whenever someone tries to argue cheetahs, I just let the cheetahs speak for themselves. Because vocal Viagra to a bird watcher does
my
not a
God.
big cat make. Cheetahs are built like the work of a malicious
Are cheetahs
genius.
considered
They wanted
big
to be
cats?
The fastest so bad, now they speed run through life. Being the fastest thing on legs gives them a respectable success rate. But that success gets nerfed when about 10% of their kills gets taxed by lions, leopards, and especially a predatory laugh track. And unlike
they're very
leopards,
anxious.
their claws and conflicts are both non-retractable, so cheetahs can't even do the cat thing and climb from their problems. We used to think cheetahs ran so fast their brains overheat after, when really it's the stress of knowing they're
They're
a
so
main character
majestic.
visit away from having concepts for dinner. Or maybe it's the anxiety of their last hookup possibly being a blood relative, since the spotted doormat survived
no.
not one, but two major bottleneck events, largely by keeping it in the family
Oh my
royal
God,
style,
they're so
which
cute.
is why the current cheetah gene pool is more like a puddle, and not even yeast is that inbred. Cheetahs are so anxious that many in zoos
Oh
have
my
emotional
God.
support dogs to serve
Look
as
how
role models for
tiny.
the high-strung balls of evolutionary apprehension.
Oh.
Basically, seeing their dog stay calm helps keep the cheetahs chill, and
It's
even gives
just
them
a
the confidence to
baby.
do things like make more cheetahs. But as easy as it is to dunk on cheetahs,
Oh
it's
my God, stop. Look how cute they are. They grew up together. This is the cutest thing ever. I do love that cheetahs are such anxious little guys. They need emotional support animals. I didn't know they chirped like birds though. They're so cute and fluffy. Oh.
really not their fault. Being faster than the speed of light has a ceiling when you live in darkness. And the cheetah is essentially an overgrown high-speed house cat in the
Lion.
shadow of lions and
Why is
leopards.
the lion
But cheetahs do
chasing
get
him?
props for fully committing to speed with the aforementioned non-retractable claws,
Ooh.
ridiculous lung capacity, a
Oh, they can't
flexible
retract
spine that
them?
makes the scoliosis in mine scream, and even a built-in tail rudder for steering that honestly looks like antelope aimbot. Plus,
Oh,
you always have my
interesting.
respect as arguably the most underappreciated single mothers in nature, especially since male cheetahs often reject paternity to go run with the boys, with males forming coalitions to hunt and travel in. So while I don't approve of exotic pets in like any form, if there's one
It's
predator
purring.
begging to go the way of the wolf, I'd have to vote for the Ferrari feline. The serval took what the cheetah did for speed, but for jumping. The
Ooh,
serval's been called the
pretty.
Frankencat for looking like it
It
was
has.
assembled at a lost and found. They got ears so big
Oh
that I
my God, look, he's got like little plane wings. That is an interesting looking cat. Wow. I feel like it kind of looks like a house cat, but a genetically modified house cat, like Frankenstein house cat. Like his nose doesn't look, it fits on its face, and its head's a little too small for its body, and its ears. It looks like a rabbit. Very cute though.
probably could convince you that this isn't a filter. Each ear can rotate
was that a
180
filter?
degrees independently, and wearing a Mickey Mouse headset means they can pinpoint the proverbial needle in the less than proverbial haystack. But it also means they file a noise complaint every time someone thinks for themselves.
Oh,
I wrote
look
like
at
9
it.
more ear jokes, but surely he's heard them all before. Besides, it's far more freaky that servals have the longest legs relative to body size of any cat. And once you see it, like anti-fascists, you'll never not see it.
It's like a
what
fox
gives servals
diving
what
in
many
snow.
call video game bounce, as they can leap up to 12 feet in the
Wow.
air. But it also makes the ones that come in all black look like a
Oh.
cryptid. They're one of the most efficient cat hunters, with a success rate of about 50%. They're also efficient at
That looks like
conflict
a
resolution.
skinwalker.
When two males get into a territory dispute, they'll aggressively emote while they'll size each other up while placing a paw on the rival's chest.
Emote. They're like Fortnite emoting back and forth, lost dancing to establish dominance.
It usually doesn't escalate to violence, just a stare off where the winner stays standing.
Even
and
when
the
it's
loser
angry, it's
eventually
so
retreats.
cute.
How to figure out who is beyond me, and if you bring one into your home, expect de-escalation aimed at your cat. Many don't stop at if, with folks mixing
Put
a
his
serval
paw on
and a
him.
domestic together to make a savannah cat. Not unlike the pug, I can't say I approve of them as a concept, but I guess it's better
He
than
wants
people
the whole
playing house
bench.
with an actual wild serval. Doing it with a non-domesticated nope
Oh,
makes even
God.
less sense. I've seen
What is
many
that?
videos of a caracal in someone's
Lynx?
house, but
Oh,
not one where he
Caracals.
seemed happy about it. The caracal is also called the desert lynx, but let's be real, we all know him as Floppa, named appropriately after their ears. It's still up for debate
Floppa?
what's the actual purpose of the pigtails. Some say it's to mimic insects and therefore catfish hunting birds, or to blend into the surrounding tall grass. But the theory I'm going with is having graduation tassels on the ears is for nonverbal communication with other caracals, where they can sidestep or invite social interaction with just a swipe of the
Their
ear.
ears are so interesting. They have to use that for like some sort of communication. I wonder if it's kind of like whiskers. Like, you know how whiskers serve as balance for cats? Like it helps the cats balance and detect what's around them. I wonder if their ears are kind of like that too.
Whenever you see something questionable in nature, the
What the
safe
heck
bet
is
is to
that?
assume somehow baby making's involved. They have 20 muscles in those ears, and like a serval, can move them around
20?
to eavesdrop on prey like a satellite. Caracals are the coyotes of cats. Against a bigger cat, they're cooked. But turns out, caracals are much better at city living than them. With Cape leopards getting 404'd by humans, the caracal has become
is a
the
Cape
apex predator
leopard?
of the Cape Peninsula. Shout out to Cape Town, which is a big problem for one particular bird. The caracal also has turbo thrusters for legs, and the sky
Oh my
lynx jumps high
God.
enough to be a hazard to flying birds. So the worst thing you can do is show them one that
got
can't
such
fly.
big
Caracals
jumpies.
moving into the urban has also introduced them to colonies of Cape Town penguins in the thousands. It's like a fat kid in a cake store, and they act accordingly.
Oh my
One caracal
God.
managed to spend a year in the colony as a fugitive, murking an estimated 260 penguins before eventually getting caught. This
Wait, a caracal spent a year in a penguin colony and the penguins just left him there and let him eat them? What? How does that even happen?
literal hissy fit is an accomplished predator and for some reason, a popular pet. But the tsunderes might be the New Yorkers of cats that communicate in aggression even when they're calm. But like the serval, the caracal is better as an air toll to birds than an ouch on your couch. If the serval and caracal have
They
a
have
lot in
long
common,
teeth.
it's because they share lineage and they also
Spooky.
share it with the African golden cat, a cat very few people have ever seen.
Ooh,
They're found only in
pretty.
the rainforests of Central and West Africa, and they look like a caracal nature tried redrawing strictly from memory. The lynx left behind is one of the least studied cats
wow.
on Earth, and not for a lack of trying. Leila Bahaeldin spent 4 years attempting to find an African golden cat, and in total she found one.
It's
By accident.
beautiful.
It's less impressive that she spent 1,400 days waiting on a cat, more
Kinda
so
looks
that
like
she
an
didn't
otter.
drop her camera and fumble the first chance she got. I know I would have. It's likely this incognito
Oh my
cat is a result
God.
of them
Wait, its color is so pretty. It looks like very burnt, rusty orange. Interesting. Their spots are only really like on their bellies. It looks like it would be really, really good at swimming because it's got that like very long neck and sleek pelt.
sharing an area code with leopards. Studies found that golden cats will actively switch to smaller prey if they happen to be in the hunting territory of a leopard. There's also the Asian golden cat of
Oh,
Asia.
I
He
love
looks like a
him.
travel-sized tiger and has the
Oh my
nickname Yellow
goodness.
Leopard. They were actually named after Dutch zoologist Konrad Jacob Tenmink.
The blue
Condolences,
eyes, they're so
Konrad, but I'm not saying all
striking.
that again. So that's an Asian golden. They share a name, but their ancestors split up millions of years ago, and they're not even each other's closest cousins.
so
we also
silly
have
looking.
the African wildcat. To be fair, he is.
I've heard of
There's also
those.
the Asiatic and European wildcat.
See, if you were to show me pictures of these, I would think they were just like random stray cats or house cats. I bet they don't act like house cats though. Would you guys ever have like an exotic small cat as a pet? I don't think I could. I've seen so many videos of people who have like Bengals. Are they Bengals? No, Savannah cats. Something like that. But they have like these small cats and they are so aggressive. Like, have you ever seen the feeding videos of like people feeding whole chickens to these wild cats? scary. I don't think I could ever trust that in my
Fun
house.
fact, the European wildcat
Even if they're
scientific
cute.
name is how the Looney Tunes Sylvester got his. If you have a pet cat though, direct your gratitude to the African variety, as they're
Oh
the
my
ancestor
God,
of yours.
kitty.
About 10,000 years ago, the African wildcat domesticated itself
I
in
love
the fertile
cats.
crescent of the Middle East.
Look
You
at that
see, when humans
tail.
were nomads, there wasn't much care for a cat, but once we switched to farming, the mouse-murking whiskered one became an asset, and just like that, the cat secured arguably the best possible job for itself. And since the cats barely had to change their playbook, the African wildcat is a dead ringer for something you'd find in the average American house, which is a big problem for the other wildcat. The European cat can also be confused for a kennel jockey.
Oh, he's
at
so
least until you take
chunky.
him home, as
Looks like a
European
tomcat.
wildcats are notoriously impossible to have as
Aw.
pets. Naturalist Francis Pitt didn't buy the
Oh.
untrainable label and attempted to hand raise
looks
one named Satan.
interesting.
Satan was like an indoor deratio that gave Francis an experience befitting his name. Wildcats don't just dislike humans. European wildcats and domestics have been avoiding each other for about 2,000 years. But by the 60s, the wildcat population flirted with zero, which likely led to them and domestics pumping hybrids out. It's kind of like how wolves were once so down bad that they settled for coyotes and now we got coy wolves. Except with European wildcats, the effort
I didn't know
succeeded in
about that.
polluting the pure wildcat gene pool, with very few of them left.
Aw.
They've nearly literally screwed themselves out of existence. And good luck rallying support when the average person sees its doppelganger on their yard every day. There's also the Asian wildcat, also known as a desert or steppe cat. Same story as the other two, except there's something inexplicably satisfying about this one. Maybe it's the sand coat seasoned with marks to help break up its outline. Their existence is proof that
They
I
do
could
look
never
kind of
pet as a
exotic.
cameraman. Put
I
this
like
in
their
my sight, I would
spots.
lose all professionalism and likely my lips as I pss myself out of a job. But they have nothing on the deadliest cat on the planet, which it isn't actually him. Didn't I say this wasn't a big cat video? Weighing about a bag of flour, the black-footed cat is the smallest cat in Africa.
The
It's also
deadliest?
pound for pound, the deadliest. They'll tackle more prey in one night than a leopard
But
will
it's
in
so
6
cute.
months, and they'll life deprive up to 14 animals.
Oh my god, look at its short, stuffy little legs. I would let this thing kill me. I would easily let this thing into my home and let it murder me in my sleep. Look at those big eyes and those stubby legs. Oh my god, how is it even holding itself with those legs? They're so short. I love him.
In that night, Blackfoots might as well wear red bottoms. They have the highest kill rate of a cat. One
He's
that
so
doubles
angry.
lions, and is believed one cat can erase 3,000 rodents in 1 year. The assassin named the anthill tiger has to
Stop,
kill up
it's
to
too
20%
cute.
of its body weight in prey a day just to fuel its metabolism. They
Oh
have
my
3
God.
ways of stacking bodies. The fast hunt, where they essentially overstimulate their prey by
They do
rushing
look
down
angry,
until they
though.
flush them out. The slow hunt, where they stalk the
He
scenery
looks
and wait for a
perpetually
snack
pissed
to
off.
expose itself. And the sit and wait hunt, which you don't need a description for.
Hmm.
Another reason I'd much rather talk about animals in front of a camera
has a
than report
collar.
those from behind one. I don't have the professionalism for that. Now we get to one of my favorite cats, the sand cat. As arguably the second smallest cat, they have no business being the
White
badasses
head.
nature intended. They live in a limitless litter box that can reach 115 degrees Fahrenheit during the day, just to drop to
Ooh.
negative 25 degrees Fahrenheit at night. Luckily, sand cats don't need water. The blood of their victims is sustenance enough. The Sahara warrior can go without water longer than a camel because they get what they need from their prey,
Wow.
which often means leaning on their blood. Blood that washes down the venomous snakes the sandcat will headshot and eat. But the biggest headache goes to
That's
anyone
pretty
trying to find
badass.
them. Sandcats have furry foot pads that protect them from the scalding hot sand, but it also means that they don't leave behind footprints. Also, they spend most of the day underground
smart.
and at night hunting throughout its range, with some cats covering as much as 8 miles in a little over 24 hours. But even by the grace of God, if you stumble into one, you can still blindly walk by your blessing, since sandcats will famously close their eyes at night when a human approaches, so they can't be clocked by their eye glow. So if you ever see a sandy cat in the wild, say thanks, because that's entirely the cat's discretion. They're so adapted to live in the most unlivable place ever, they actually struggle when you take them out the trenches. The same respiratory system designed for Satan's sandbox is prone to infection outside the desert. You wouldn't want one in your house anyway, since sandcats primarily communicate through golden showers. And
Poor
if you know about
thing.
desert animals, the smell of their urine would have them kicked out. Still one of the cats of all time.
Ew.
And on the other side of the spectrum is the fishing cat, not to be confused with the fisher cat, which is neither. Unlike them, the fishing cat actually earns its name. Living in
he's a
places like the
swimmer.
suburban mangroves in India and Bangladesh, the aqua kitty can dive and swim long distances. And they fully committed with partially
That's
webbed
not a
feet
cat.
and aerodynamic
You
head
can't
and
convince me
claw-
that's a cat. That looks like an otter. That's just a sea creature. Look at those feet. Oh my god, it has webbed feet. Wow, nature is so interesting how like certain animals adapt to their environments. Like look at that. I do know that some dogs, like some dog breeds, like poodles, since poodles were bred to hunt, they have webs in their feet. But it's interesting that some cats can have that too. Because I feel like when you think of cats, you typically think of like, oh my god, cats hate water. It's kind of weird.
Evolved in the form of fish hooks, basically the fish terminator, with about 76% of a fishing cat's diet coming with gills.
That fish is like as big as him.
In shallow water, wading, and they'll even flick the water surface to mimic insects in order to fool the fish. They're capable climbers too.
He's got racing stripes too.
Snatching baby birds out of nests. Fishing cats might be the feline raccoon equivalent, as they've slowly been moving into city areas of places like Sri Lanka. It's not that out of place to be walking down the street and see a feline fisher hunting in a garden pond, and some are even popping up on rooftops and in attics. Really a catastrophically, no pun intended, underrated cat. And that's actually a problem. They're vulnerable, it's just that most people don't even know they exist, so they get shafted on funding. The flat-headed cat is even less known, and honestly, they got hoed hard body. If we would have found them first,
like a
they
lemur.
probably would have taken the fishing title. Up to 80% of a flathead's diet can be fish. And those eyes that are almost uncomfortably close together give it perfect binocular fish flatlining vision. Dog, even their toes are more webbed than the alleged fishing cat. But this Auburn Aquatic got stuck with flat-headed. Yeah.
Flathead.
I'd be mad too.
I mean,
Maybe
his
if they
head
had a
is
cuter
flat.
name, more people would care about the fact they're likely Southeast Asia's most endangered cat. Less than 2,500 left in the wild. Not like the leopard cat. They're privileged enough to have two flavors: the Sunda leopard cat and the mainland leopard cat. In fact, they're the most widespread wildcat.
They're
in Asia,
interesting
found from
looking.
India all the way to North Korea and China. Also, shout out India. They got the most types of wildcats in their country, with a
Isn't it interesting how there are so many different types of leopards out there? Like when you think of leopard, you typically either think of the standard African leopard or a snow leopard. But there's actually like tons of different kinds of leopards that people don't even talk about.
record of 15. The leopard cat is also a swimmer and has been known to colonize islands. Disgusting greed. In fact, there's a leopard cat variant.
Colonize
the
islands?
Japanese island of Iriomote.
It's kind of
Possibly
impressive.
under 100 left in existence, making it arguably the rarest wildcat.
no.
The leopard cat exists in many forms. So of course folks done turned it into a pet. The Bengal cat is the result of a leopard cat
the
and a
Bengal.
domestic mating.
That's what I was thinking
Apparently
of
the creator's
earlier.
logic was if people could buy a cat that looked like a leopard cat, less people would buy the real thing. I don't know if I like that logic. I think there's enough cats. That being said, bro got that on. The Borneo Bay cat
Beautiful
is a familiar
cats.
situation, but instead of Iriomote, the only place you'll hypothetically find them is in Borneo. Hypothetically, because the bay cat is basically a living theory. They've only been recorded less than 100 times in history, and between 1874 and 2004, only 12
Silly
bay cat
drawing.
bodies have been studied. They straight up disappeared.
Have you guys seen the like Renaissance paintings of cats from like hundreds and hundreds of years ago? They always look so funky. It's like somebody who saw a cat once in their life decided to draw a cat. I love them.
For 60 years, because after being discovered in 1856, by 1928,
Oh my
they seemingly
God.
fell off the face of the earth.
gotta be
That wasn't
edited, he's
until
so
someone
bad.
pulled up to the Natural History Museum in Sarawak in 1992 with a half-dead bay cat. Since then, we haven't learned much. We really don't know how they hunt, what exactly they hunt, how they raise their kids, how they make their kids, or even what their niche is. There's few existing videos of this ghost of a cat. This is the best quality pic you're gonna get from a cat that dipped on reality for 6 decades like Captain America. The jungle cat is another one named out of misunderstanding or spite, since they live almost anywhere
He looks
except the jungle. Also called
scary.
the reed or swamp cat. You'll find them on the hunt in tall grasses,
Oh, no, he's kinda
swamps,
cute.
reed
I'll
beds,
take it
dry
back.
open forests, but never a jungle, of course. Where they're an all-around athletic flex of a Furby. They can air snatch birds, climb trees, catch fish, and have even been clocked swimming up to a mile. They usually grief mice and fowl, but will also pack up cobras and sometimes even gazelle. In the
That
country of
snake is
1,000 cats,
huge.
jungle cats are the most common one in India. And just remember, you're more likely to find one on a university campus in Bangladesh than anywhere near a jungle. Now,
Why? Who names these things? Why? They obviously didn't find it in the jungle, so why did they look at it and be like, yeah, jungle cat. That's a jungle cat right there. I found it in the desert, but it probably lives in a jungle somewhere.
what y'all know about the marbled cat? It's a pint-sized
I
monkey
could
of a
name
cat,
cats.
somewhere in the forest shadowed by the Himalayas, where the marbled cat has been found as high as
Ooh,
12,500
pretty
feet,
pattern.
or almost 17 Golden Gate
Kinda
Bridge
like a
towers above
clouded
sea
leopard.
level. It's another one of those cats you only ever run into by accident, since the marble cat spends almost its entire life in the trees, moving like a
Its
1.5
tail's so
foot
thick.
predatory spider cat, where they likely inflict all manners of PTSD on the primates they prey to prey
It's
on.
so
Ironically,
straight.
the less than 10-pound marble cat almost stole itself a spot with the big cats, with them once considered panthers. And now, we get to one of my favorite cats of all time. Look at this dude. The clouded leopard is like a cat forgotten by time. An animated
It's me.
mosaic
Oh
and
god,
living
pause. That's me. My Vtuber is based off of a clouded leopard. If you don't know, I love them. They're my second favorite animal in the entire world. They're super freaking cool. They can rotate their paws 180 degrees because they primarily live in trees. So in order to jump from tree to tree, they have very flexible toesies, and their tails are super freaking long, like almost as long as their body. I think it's like 60%. Sorry, I'm very passionate about them. I love them so much. Look at them, and they never get enough like love in media. Their tails are like 60% of the length of their body, and they use them as like a little balancing. They use them to balance when they're jumping from tree to tree. And their fangs are the longest skull to fang ratio of any living creature currently on Earth. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I love them. They're so cute.
relic from an era long left behind. The clouded leopard is considered the missing link between big cats and not big cats.
Yeah.
Mostly because, like cheetahs, they talk themselves out of the big cat spot.
Oh my god.
That is an apex predator, one that's about 3
Yeah.
feet long. I swear I thought they were jaguar sized as a kid, but that's probably because the first time I ever heard of one, it was trying to turn the rugrats into baby coffins. They are the closest thing to a modern day saber-toothed
Yeah.
tiger. Not by DNA, but by virtue of
Look at
having the
those
longest
teeth.
canines relative to body size of any cat. Like the leopard cat, the clouded leopard has a Sunda and mainland variant. While this photogenic fossil has never attacked a human, they're a threat to literally everything else. And with ankles that can rotate, and not just in the Gordon Hayward way, they can climb down
Ooh.
trees head first like a squirrel, or upside down, because when you're
Yeah.
apex, you just start trying shit. They're even a danger to each other. They're one of the hardest cats to breed because males often kill their mates in the process. Less than 20% of cloud cats in captivity are successful at mating, making them the panda of cats. But if you were expected to drop trowel and make a beast with 2 backs with a complete stranger in a room full of voyeurs, you'd be less than cooperative too. It doesn't matter the size or the looks they serve. A cat of any kind
my
is a savage
God.
to its core. And look no further than this guy. The rusty spotted cat is called the hummingbird.
Oh,
of
I've
cats,
heard of
and
this
they're
one.
another one that could spawn in a pet store and no one would blink. That is until it murks everyone else. The rusty spotted is a
Yeah.
highly skilled
Their eyes are
assassin that'll
beautiful.
pounce on prey from the trees, and I really wish I had footage of that. 19th century T.C. Gurdon kept a paperweight predator as a pet that earned his respect by hunting the squirrels in his house. The cat earned a little more when T.C. caught it attempting to choke out a gazelle by clamping on its neck. And
Oh
the cat
my
had to be
God,
physically removed from the now surely traumatized
gazelle?
That doesn't change the reality that this cat would get my credentials confiscated if I ever had to film one. I wouldn't have that problem with this one though. Not because he's not cute, but because he looks
Palace
totally
cat.
unenthused by life and I don't want to add to it. The
I
palace
love
cat,
him.
also called a manul, is in a perpetual state of ain't funny. They actually learn to growl before they even open
It's like the Tibetan sand fox. They both have like the same facial expression. It's so adorable. I love animals that always look angry.
their eyes. They're born beefing with life, and believe me, they have their reasons. Maybe it's because their choice of home can be negative 58 degrees Fahrenheit in the winter, all the way up to 90 degrees Fahrenheit come summer. Or it might be the fact that living in God's waiting room with limited exposure to pathogens means palace cats are highly susceptible to getting folded by disease when they leave the mountains. It's possible it's because their mating ritual involves the male just following around the female for days until she's ready. Something I'm sure
Stalking
neither's
him.
happy about. Or it could be their scientific name being ugly-eared cat. I challenge you to find a picture of a palace cat
Ugly?
that looks happy. This is the closest I could
not
get. Just a
ugly.
temperamental ball of laundry lint that will use its tail as a blanket and will even stand on it to warm their feet. Speaking of which, the manul is actually the size of a house cat. It's just having the densest fur of any cat gives it
It's
an
so
adorable
chonky.
sleeper build. The palace cat is notably afraid of humans and will go out of their way to avoid them, unless you feed them. You could never convince me not to love me some palace cat. Not even a palace cat itself. You could fix your face though. Honestly, this cat has a lot more to be mad about. The Chinese mountain cat is only found on China's Tibetan plateau, where they're very much unknown. Few of them have actually been studied, and the biggest threat to them is that most people don't even know they exist. Show this to the average
Attacking the
person, they'll just
camera.
assume you're one of those cat people. They'd never know that there's less than 10,000 in stock, and it's all humans'
no.
fault. The Chinese mountain cat hunts with extreme pica prejudice, so when China started
so
poisoning
cute.
them, the Chinese mountain cat caught a nasty stray. Today, most of what we know about them is from captivity, and the only time we ever seem to find them is
Its tail reminds me of a raccoon. Look at it. It's like striped and floofy. Maybe they're cousins to a raccoon. They kind of have like the same body shape too.
by
I
accident.
don't know.
In 2018, Hong Shangshi of the Shangshi Conservation Center was studying black-necked cranes when she randomly made eye contact with a shiny Pokemon of cats, which means someone probably spent years searching for him just to get shown up by a glorified bird watcher. But if that ain't the most cat thing a cat could do. The biggest problem with being this cat is no matter how endangered you are, your death will never hit as hard as an elephant's or a panda's. Just be glad you got to see this one. There's no missing a cougar though. One, because it's a small cat that could mog some of the big ones. They vary.
Wait, when I was younger, the cougars are pretty native to where I live. And when I was younger in my parents' backyard, there was a female cougar who kept her babies in my parents' backyard for like 6 months. The mama and the babies were like regularly coming and stopping by my parents' backyard. So my parents like locked the doors and they were like, "You're not allowed to go into the backyard," until they moved out. It was interesting. Sometimes when I would look out my room window, I would see them just walking around.
Size and actually get bigger the further they get from the equator, but most males sit around 130 to 160 pounds. Some can clear 200, and in 1979, a hunter brought down one weighing 276 pounds.
Oh,
Cougars also have the most extensive
cat.
range of any American animal, and a prey base
They
of
are
about
beautiful.
500. Garfield on steroids is liable to murk moose in the Yukon, and rodeo ride guanacos in Chile. Cougars are the CrossFit freaks of cats, with Olympic medaling bounce while being able to swim a
they have
mile
such
and
big
travel over
muscles.
1,000. They also might be the most ethical killers. They're a predator with a preference not to scavenge and would rather eat what they kill. Cougars are also way more generous than anyone thought, with many being caught sharing kills with other pumas. From 2012 to 2015 in Yellowstone, 118 interactions were recorded between at least 2 cougars, and 60% of these occurred at kills, and many of them involved sharing. In fact, there's a scene from Our Planet where a teenager who just left his mom attempts to steal food from a giant mountain of a male twice his size, and in a complete plot twist, the old man let the little one slide. But there's one predator that gets absolutely no love from cougars, because mountain lions and wolves
Oh my
have a blood
God.
feud, where wolf
He's
packs will
being
gang up on any
mauled.
lone lions, but one-on-one, mountain lions commit first degree on a wolf. But
Good
recently,
God.
there's been more of a trend of mountain lions stalking, jumping, and murking wolves on sight. Since 2013, cougars have been responsible for 30% of documented wolf deaths in Washington. Wolves also have beef with the lynx, but the wolves tend
They
to
got,
do
like,
a lot
a
better
war
with that
going on.
matchup. There's 4 flavors of lynx: the Eurasian lynx, Iberian lynx,
Ooh, they got the
Canada
fluffy
lynx,
ears, too.
and the Bobcat lynx. The Eurasian is like the
I
big
love
cat
Bobcats.
of Europe, or the closest they have to one at least. They're notoriously one of the most difficult cats to track, which is a crime with a face card like that. There's many subspecies of the Eurasian persuasion, but the rarest might be the Balkan lynx, with fewer than 50 left in stock. The Iberian lynx is also one
All the lynxes have like white eyeliner. It's so pretty.
of the rarest cats. Mostly cause what Pika are to a mountain cat, rabbits are to the Iberian, and the rabbits dying to disease and overhunting nearly put the predator in a pack. They were down to about 62 left alive in 2001, but have since bounced back to about 2,400 as of 2024. The Canada lynx is the ultimate specialist, specializing in being the Grim Reaper to the horseshoe hare, which can make up 97% of their diet. The evolutionary arms race with the hare is likely why
What a
the
good
Canada lynx has
picture.
what we call proud family feet.
Are
But the
those
most
their
notable
feet?
thing about them is their arguments are probably why
They're
the Appalachian
huge.
Mountains have the reputation they have.
Oh, it's like a goat. Banging their heads together.
Then there's the Bobcat, which I learned way too late in life is just a lightweight lynx, named after their short, stubby, truncated tail. Is that out of pocket? Would naming this guy Toby or Robert be? You decide. Bobcats aren't just the most common wildcat
Is
in
that a
America.
thumb or a
They
toe?
have one of the longest grocery lists too. They'll hunt rabbits, birds, mice, squirrels. They will also fish for salmon and sometimes
Oh my
try and solo
God.
deer. One bobcat was caught dragging a shark out of the ocean. Before
confident.
you ask, of course it's Florida. Another was caught attempting to bully a black bear out of food. The lynx is dangerously close to being considered the honey badger of cats. They're just a castration claim away. You know, I
That
almost
was
forgot
a
to mention
big
the cougar
jump.
also shares distant lineage with the cheetah, but its closest relative is this is a jaguarundi, or dark jaguar, even though it looks like a self-hating weasel. I feel bad for them. Because their ranges overlap, they're definitely aware of cougars, and knowing that's what your closest cousins got blessed with is like evolutionary rage bait. It's like the maned wolf and bush dogs, just remarkably unserious.
no.
The jaguarundi moves like an animal that should only exist in black and white film, but being
like
built
its
like
color,
an identity
though.
crisis otter actually helps them hunt without being put on a shirt themselves. The fur slinky's able to slip through dense undergrowth while avoiding other
That's
cats,
a very pretty
which
color.
they're really good at. In fact, they coined the phrase, the ocelot effect, which means if you see an ocelot, you know you won't find a jaguarundi because the former bullies them into hiding. But apparently the biggest threat to a jaguarundi is being mid. According to researchers, the problem is they're not the biggest cat, they're not the smallest, they're not even the biggest of the smallest, they have no spots, no stripes, they're not especially endangered, just a remarkably unremarkable cat. In fact, a lot of times they get caught on cameras when the lensman was checking.
That is such a unique looking cat. I'd say out of all the cats we've seen today, this one has the most like odd features to it. It has that like bulldog kind of face, the Roman nose, and simultaneously it looks like an otter, closer to an otter than any of the other species we've seen today. It's very pretty. I can't believe I've never heard anything about them before.
For someone else. Even their name isn't that original. I really hate that for them, because a jaguarundi's dope enough on its own. They deserve better.
One.
Same with the Andean mountain cat. They're endangered, and finding this cliff kitty in the wild would mean psing in the Andes mountains as high as 12,000 feet. Its
eyes are very wide.
Take your breath. That is, if the altitude leaves any left. We don't know that much about this cat, and that has to be the 6th time I've said this in this video. And that's the problem. They also prefer death over bondage because they almost refuse to survive in captivity. Every time we tried, the mountain cat retired to a was before we could learn anything. Making it one of the least understood cats on the planet, and we still can't nail down exactly how many there are. But that's also because they're constantly getting confused with the pampas cat. The pampas is like a video game character with multiple colorways. You ever experienced the anarchy of playing Smash Brothers with 8 Kirby's? Studying the pampas is pretty much the same. Since science says there might be 5 different species of them. Might be because some argue there's only.
Wait a second, are these all the same kind of cat? Why? That one looks blue. The top left kind of looks blue. It looks like a bowl of cereal, like colored cereal. Oh my god, the middle top one looks kind of blue too. Huh, their colors are so unique. And then the bottom ones just look like the same colors as like a white tiger, that like off brownish, reddish color. They all have like very slight differences though, I'm noticing. I don't know if these are the same cat breed or not. They're all different cats. They do look very similar though. Which one is your guys' favorite? The top middle. He looks like vaguely fox-like.
Only one species of pampas cat, just with 7 subspecies too. But most agree on 5 flavors of this feline. Like the mountain cat, we don't know that much about a cat that often lives where it feels like you're breathing through a straw on a treadmill. Despite what you've heard, it's actually a lack of curiosity killing cats like the Andean or the pampas. I'll throw another one at you. Geoffrey's cat. Named after some French dude, so more like Geoffrey. Another problem with being a house cat is people will pick them up thinking they're a house cat without a home, only to find out at the vet, which has to be annoying. It's kind of like snatching the vertically challenged off the street and then trying to put a grown man in a booster seat. To be fair, that's the black morph version. I promise you I'd make the same mistake. Joffrey's friend has also been called the salt cat because they've been seen stalking places like the salt flats of Bolivia. It's one of the most common wild felids in South America, and their color actually changes depending on where, with Joffrey's flexing a leopard colorway in the north, but wearing a silver coat in the south. They've also been called fishing cats, and people have seen this pet-sized cat crossing raging rivers 100 feet wide. Now I put these 3 cats together because they honestly look like 3 stages of the same Pokemon. The ocelot looks like a Latin clouded leopard, so I stand them off principle. Even though they have the eyes that knows something's coming and knows you can't stop it. Although given the chance, I'd probably let it happen. The ocelot's prey consists of anything that won't kill them first, including other cats. But there's one animal they seem to be friends with, and out of all the options they have, for some reason they choose opossums. Ocelots and opossums have been caught casually walking around together, and this wasn't just a one-time occasion. This has happened multiple times throughout the years. They even tested this by placing fabric strips with the scent of an ocelot, one with a pumas, and some random third, and the opossums overwhelmingly preferred Eau du Ocelot. We don't know what it's about, but I'm getting shades of badger and coyote. The Margays like nature copied the ocelot assignment, but changed a few answers. It's an anime-eyed paralysis demon to anything in its weight class in the trees. They also have ankles that can rotate 180 degrees, meaning they can free run through trees and cancel life subscriptions while hanging upside down. It's a mythical tree merchant that'll use psychological warfare against their prey, because
they do look like some sort of magical merchant you'd meet in like an enchanted forest that would sell you overpriced potions and magical wares.
Margays will imitate the sound of their prey to lure them out. One Margay was watched mimicking the cry of a baby tamarin, apparently well enough to convince the adults to stop what they were doing and investigate. This branch warrior is serotonin to anyone who isn't a bird or a monkey. But the cod is like boss music for depression. Also called the guinya, it's one of the smallest cats in the world, weighing about as much as a 5-pound dumbbell. Unfortunately, not everyone thinks they're cute. To Mapuche locals, the cod was an omen of famine, disease, and even death, and would be destroyed on sight. According to legend, mentioned, the cod is immune to bullets and
What
has
they
a
do
habit
to
of
deserve
decapitating
that?
chickens to drink their blood, which led to a lot of farmers smoking them out of
Holy.
principle, even though cod do them a service with free rodent control. Luckily, the cod's reputation has gotten better throughout the years. And last and certainly not least is the tiger cat, also known as the oncilla. It's like nature heard me hype the clouded leopard and the margay just to mess around and give me both. When they're not stalking the jungle floor grocery shopping, they're shacked up somewhere in a tree. It was once thought to be another version of an ocelot until they were eventually determined to be their own thing, and in 2013 it was discovered that there's actually 2 separate species of tiger cat. But in total, it's said there's under 10,000 tiger cats left, with deforestation speedrunning the decline. And just like that, that is every small cat.
Wow.
Holy f***. This will be by far
That's
my
a
longest
lot.
video. Only cats could get that out of me. Cats are in this weird place where they're so normalized, many don't realize how close many of them are to only existing in past tense. But one way to help is just by acknowledging them. And I've done my part, so that's gonna do it for this video. Look, I'm tired, bro, so we just gonna run through this. My book, my Patreon. If you feel like it, I don't really need it. Drink water, call your parents, cat, and I'ma see y'all in the next one.
Good cat. Good cat.
Babies.
Ah,
People that love you.
more clouded leopard.
What do you think about that? So you got 500,000 people that love you. Yeah. Say thank you.
They're just kitty cats. So cute. That's very interesting. I actually had no idea that there were so many different breeds of wild small cats. It's kind of sad. After watching this video, it's a little sad to think about how many of them were endangered and aren't receiving like any sort of rehabilitation or anything. So many pretty coat types though. A lot of them did look fairly similar though. It's so interesting that animals that can look so similar to the cats that we keep in our houses can turn out to be like deadly hunters that only exist out there in nature. Did point out a lot of them look like house cats. Yeah, a lot of them do look like house cats. Like half of the cats in that video, if you would have told me those were house cats, I would have believed you. I don't know how a vet would ever. He mentioned at one point that one of the pets, like vets, could tell the difference between them and a house cat, and I have no idea why or like how. They looked exactly the same as like a common tabby cat. They're very cute though. I love cats. Cats will always have a very special place in my heart. I grew up as a warrior cats kid, so I love big cats, small cats, all cats. I do think it's very sad though that we're not working towards preserving all those endangered cat species. There are so many that he mentioned that are like less than a couple thousand left. I don't know, my beloved. Clouded leopard's the best small cat though.